Today's show is brought to you by Audible.com.
Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/everythingsounds.
Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Again, that's audibletrial.com/everythingsounds.
Ignition sequence start. 5.
Everything.
3.
Everything.
Sounds.
Sounds.
This is Everything Sounds.
It's just that splat, that type of thing. I don't know.
All right, so let's try to find a sizzle, kind of
Right.
sort of sound.
The spluch. I'm going to call it the spluch.
And you kind of hear the let's find a spluch.
Yeah.
You kind of have a sound, some sort of pitch that's associated with it, I think.
The only thing I can think of that fits is like a whoosh.
And usually that's just a psh.
Some sort of whoosh sound.
I think we've got a good starting point. I'm Craig Shank.
And I'm George Drake Jr.
This is Everything Sounds.
Now, you'd think that creating sounds would be easy. I mean, we do it every day.
I know, we talk, chairs squeak on the floor as we move them, we clap at concerts, but when we make sounds, it usually isn't as deliberate or precise, or for an audience.
As you heard at the beginning, Craig and I, we were trying to do our best to come up with some unique sounds.
This is the guy who put us up to it.
My name is Scotty Iseri. I used to work in theater as a sound and Foley designer, and now I have a startup that's doing an interactive kids show.
Scotty is giving us our first lesson in Foley.
If you're new to Foley too, here's the dictionary definition.
Foley is the process of live recording of sound effects, which are added to enhance the quality of audio for media and the arts. Named for Jack Foley, who pioneered sound effect production at Universal Studios in the 1930s.
There's a storied history of Foley, back from the radio days and even a little bit of live theater. But so there's a lot of tricks that just get handed down like folklore.
And if you want to try this at home, you can.
A pan full of cornmeal for steps walking on gravel, or a box of cornstarch for snow, for like crunching snow.
If you're really committed, you can try this too.
Other stuff are devices that get built, like a small door that you can use for opening and closing door sounds, or thunder sheets, those big pieces of metal that you shake. And then some of it is, as the scripts have evolved throughout the years, you get requests for different kinds of sounds. You'll get, some sound of something squishy, or sound of a tentacle oozing across the floor, and at that point it just becomes a matter of experimentation. It becomes hanging around in toy stores and hardware stores and banging things and touching them.
And he's not kidding about that.
I got kicked out of a Home Depot for walking around with a hammer and whacking on things, seeing what kind of noises you get out of them.
Even someone as knowledgeable and creative as Scotty had to start somewhere.
Now, what about creating sounds that are unnatural, that don't have a sound associated with them? How would you go about trying to create those sounds?
Right, like in Scotty's first show.
The first Foley show that I did was a show called Kid Simple by Jordan Harrison. That it's about a machine that can hear the unhearable. So there's hundreds of sound cues in it. And some of them are crazy, the sound of a heart murmur or the sound of an eyelash fluttering. There's an emotional component to that. Like, part of it is the context of the scene that you're in. In that case, in that particular instance, the scene it's a love scene. It's about two teenagers that are falling in love. And so the eyelash flutter is one of those little details that you notice about the other person as you're falling in love with them. And so, if you use your imagination, you could think the sound of an eyelash flutter could sound like a twinkly little bell as it, or it could sound like the whip of the eyelash whipping through the air. And I think what we ended up doing, if I remember right, was a plastic ruler that has a little hole at the end of it, and like whipping that as quickly as you could to get that kind of sound. There's a lot of onomatopoeia involved. There's not the same kind of vocabulary as there is for like music or visual stuff.
If you don't know what an onomatopoeia is, don't worry, it's kind of an odd word. It's basically...
An onomatopoeia is the formation of a word by imitation of a sound made by or associated with its referent. Examples: buzz, vroom, or cock-a-doodle-doo.
And if you're still lost, Scotty has a more recent example that may help you out a little more.
The one I've been using a lot lately is Braum, which is Braawam. This is a sound that was popularized in the new Batman movies, which is, whenever they would cut to a different angle or something important would happen, you'd hear that.
That brings us back to the beginning.
This beginning.
Kind of
That splat, that...
and you kind of hear the...
It's like a whoosh.
And usually that's just a...
The spluch. I'm going to call it the spluch.
When we were trying to make onomatopoeias for our assignment with Scotty.
Now, play teacher for a moment. You should give Craig and I an assignment. Give us 3 sounds that we should try and recreate, but not telling us how we need to do it.
Oh my. 3 sounds. Let's do the sound of a freshly roasted turkey that has just been removed from the oven and fully dressed and ready for Thanksgiving, dropped on the floor because the dog ran in front of it, in front of the person carrying it.
All right.
How about the sound of a ghost passing through a wall?
Okay.
I put a hard one now.
Oh, those were easy?
How about one that's a real life one? How about the sound of a hard drive dying? That might be one that inspires some fear into some of your listeners.
We wanted to keep this assignment simple and complete it in a way that anyone could try out, so we didn't buy anything to help us. We just used items you could normally find in a house.
So, after trying out some more onomatopoeias...
I think we need a...
like a...
or a... maybe a...
and scavenging the house for sounds.
Okay, blender sound.
Attempt a hairdryer.
The plastic bag wheeze.
Okay, this is piano.
Okay, this will be dense fall with bread.
We recorded and edited our sounds for Scotty, and then we caught up with him a couple weeks later on a video chat.
All right, I am playing turkeyfoley.wave. Very nice, very nice. My initial reaction is that I have a really good sense of place, so I can hear the sliding of the turkey pan across the oven. I love I can hear a little bit of sizzle on there for the turkey still. I think the sense of getting the turkey out of the oven is awesome. I like the kind of a thud splat you have for the turkey actually falling on the ground. There's part of me that wants a little more of a splat. The turkey's got it's got the lovely like fat drippings on the bottom, and yeah, a little more goosh on that would help sell the turkey. Here we go, Ghost Foley. Ooh, cool. My favorite thing about this one happened at the very end, where I hear kind of like a stretching, like a rubber glove going, and I thought that was really great. Like, I could see the wall kind of bending in after the ghost has passed through it, and that was really fun.
What do you think that sound is?
Dishwashing gloves?
No. It is the hiss of a steamy iron.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. I want to listen to it one more time. Get another listen in on it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
What is that high-pitched part? It sounds like, it's like...
Yeah, I was just walking around the house trying to think of what would even be close to what we think of as a ghost. And usually ghosts have some sort of pitch that people think about, kind of a high-pitched ooh or something like that. And I thought, what has a pitch that we can work with? Oh, there's a piano. So initially what I did was run my fingers across the inside of the piano, and it sounded okay at first, and then George found...
I found a tassel.
A little tassel that we actually were dragging across the inside of the piano with the microphone in pretty close to that.
That's fantastic. All right, here we go. Oh man, I've heard like ticking noises coming from a hard drive before. It makes my heart stop a little bit. So I think what gives me that sense is that the ticking noises, the tick 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 tick, are very irregular, and most hard drives, they spin up, they go, and they're this nice consistent pitch, so you know they're spinning exactly how they're supposed to. And the minute anything goes a little awry, a little binary, if it goes sort of, it induces that terror of, oh crap, this thing is going down. Whatever the sort of servo motor that you have, the pew at the end, I think what I would want it to do is go pew and then sort of stop. I think it works as a power down sound, but it almost sounds too safe for a failure.
So can you pick out any of the sounds? Can you identify what they are?
The clicking kind of sounds like an arc welder, but it's
very close.
Yeah?
Very close. It's the ignition spark of a stove.
Ah, nice.
And then the power down sound at the end that you were talking about, do you know any idea of what that might be?
Gosh, I don't. You stumped me.
It is the end of a piece of paper shredding.
Nice.
You can find out more about Scotty and his projects at scottyiseri.com. That's SCOTTYISERI.com. And if you want to become an amateur Foley artist yourself, we have a list of tips and tricks to help you to get started. Find that at our website, everythingsounds.org.
The music on this show was provided by Language of Kings. Find out more about the music you hear on the show and submit your own music on our website.
And consider reviewing the show on iTunes.
Ratings and reviews on iTunes help shows gain more visibility and move up in the rankings.
And of course, you can find out more about the show, how to listen, where to listen, and more at everythingsounds.org.
Until next time, I'm Craig Shank.
And I'm George Drake Jr.
And this is Everything Sounds.
If we ever have some sort of career in Foley, we'll always cite you as the person that got us into it.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
It's the least we could do.
Right.
Don't mention my name if you're ever thrown out of a hardware store for you're walking around and banging on things.
I'm going to mention your name everywhere I go.
This has been Everything Sounds. Find out more about the podcast at everythingsounds.org. Connect with Everything Sounds on Facebook and also on Twitter.